There we are. Hi, everybody. It's going to be a good day today. We're heading into the Thanksgiving weekend. Lots to give thanks for. Good food, good family. Hockey is around the corner. The NHL season is getting ready to start. I watched a Leaf game yesterday. They won in overtime, much to the chagrin of Leaf haters, which I love too. I love a good hater. I love a good hate fest. Who doesn't love a great hate fest? But we're about love today, and we're about some nostalgia, and we're about a couple of other things that I'm all about. Which is great brands, great people, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the show a couple of brothers that have come up with an incredible brand, one of which I took great pleasure in watching for many years. He is a Hockey Hall of Famer, and he has come up with the JRNY, and it's an incredible story. This is a brand new whiskey that just launched yesterday. And it gives me great pleasure to bring two of the entrepreneurs. I don't even know if entrepreneur is a word. Just two guys who are like, hey, let's go for broke. The Pronger brothers, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Pronger, and of course his brother, Sean Pronger. Ladies and gentlemen, nice to see you guys. Just wanted to point out before we get started, I've never seen three better looking, slightly senior individuals in my life on one screen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Dean. Couldn't agree more.
You know what it is? I was doing some research actually into you, which you don't need to do research. You guys are Finnish, right? You're sons of Finnish immigrants who came to Canada, strong Finnish background. So you got the Slavic cheeks and the hard look. I also come from that area of the world, and I'm like, this is a very Slavic broadcast with three very good-looking Slavic men. I just wanted to point that out before we start.
Yeah, us Vikings need to stick together.
Yeah, totally true, isn't it? It's incredible. Anyway, great to see you guys. How are you? Where are you? Chris, let's start with you. Are you guys in the same place? Chris, Sean, where are you?
We are not in the same place. I am currently in Denver, on my way traversing to South Dakota for a father-son trip, hunting, fishing trip with my oldest boy with some of his frat buddies and a few other fathers. So up for a little fun this weekend with the boys.
What's that like? Because, like, you know, you're describing something that you probably did. What's it like now that you're doing that with your kids, Chris?
On the other side of it?
Yeah.
It's slightly different on this side of it. Sean can probably talk a little bit more about it, but it was, we go on fishing trips and we'd bring our dad, and it was a lot of whiskey, frankly, and a lot of fishing, a lot of trying to rip the lips off walleye as we were trying to catch our lunch and dinner, but a lot of laughs, a lot of good conversation, good banter, and a few jokes along the way, but certainly sipped a few whiskeys after a great day on the lake, that's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. You guys, you're both loaded for bear with families, and you've come up with this incredible brand. I want to talk about it before we talk about anything else, because it's why we're here. The JRNY Whiskey, which, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube, crier.co is where you can find everything that we do as well. We hooked up with you guys through a gentleman named Brandon Curry, who I know you're involved in, and he's like, "Hey, listen, I need you to talk to Chris Pronger about this new whiskey. It's called the JRNY." And he gave me the story, and you guys launched this product yesterday, sold out everywhere you went. You're all signing bottles, you and your brother. Take me through this, and when did this start? Because the story behind this actually tags into and by the way, great bottle, great label. The story ties into a legitimate journey that, you know, guys that have played the game at a high level are always on, and it's an incredible story. So take me through it. And who wants to talk first? I know, Sean, you probably
Sean go first.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the talker.
Yeah. Just give me a fucking microphone, please. Yeah, I mean, it began probably when we were 15 or 16, but it was. It just, when things kind of have not gone your way or gone your way, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to go have a drink with a buddy. And that's kind of been the genesis, or family, friends, mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, but whoever. It was just like, when you're going through life, no matter what, I think, you can always take solace in the fact you got someone that'll listen to you. Why not have a glass of whiskey while you're at it? And, Chris and I, my background in playing professional hockey wasn't quite the same as Chris's. It was similar, but a little bit different. And so what got me through kind of all the shit that I had to deal with was just like thinking, I can't wait to tell the boys this story.
The boys.
Right? Can we tell
the boys
over a drink? And like everybody has buddies like that when you're growing up, especially in small town Canada. So that's kind of where it kind of came from. Came from a great place. And that kind of, the journey is, a celebration of the journey that we all take, the journey of life. And we just want to be a part of that conversation for people when they're, when they're having a drink. We want them to, we want to be part of their journey with our journey. So that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah. So, and your journey, obviously, as you point out, and listen, you guys are both professional hockey players. Like Chris's journey is very different than yours, Sean. But, talk about your journey, the up and down, and, trying to make it, and the stories that you create, because at the age of 50, because I'm an old bastard now, I'm one of those old bastards who's now come into the idea that, oh, wait a second, it was the journey, it was the experience, it wasn't the perception of success, it was how hard those stories are, how difficult it was to get to that next level, but it was the stories and the experience that you got to share with people, right, Sean?
And I look back, I'm glad I went through it. I look back now from a safe place, and I'm not so sure I'd do it again, but I'm glad I went through it, and I'm glad I did it. And I played for 16 teams in 11 years. And it kind of shaped who I am. I don't take a lot of things I take certain things serious, but for the most part, I just try to have a good time and do the best I can. And I think it shaped me that way. But it was definitely a grind. They tell you ignorance is bliss. It certainly is. And, I just put one foot in front of the other every day and kept showing up. My whole thing, like when I got to training camp, my long-term goal was to go to the rink the next day and have a jersey. And I guess my extended goal would be to, in training camp, because they give out per diem, like they'll give you like 3 days per diem. Some guys got 7 days. So I'd be like, I just want to get 7 days per diem. That means I'm at least going to stick around for 7 days, even though they can shoot you at any point in time. But yeah, it was challenging, but when you're younger, you don't know any better. You just keep kind of showing up, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I could, Chris and I mean, he's got stories for days too. So I'm glad we can kind of share it with everybody.
Yeah, and dude, you talk about that life experience, Chris. What's it like to start a legitimate premium whiskey brand with your family? Like how cool is that? I mean, just to even rehash these stories. I mean, there's healing in talking about the journey that we've all been on. But what's it like to start this premium? And it is a premium whiskey. Like you guys sold out the other day right away.
Yeah,
right.
No, it's great. We obviously have been talking for a number of years, trying to figure out what we could do together, what made sense, etc. And I think our tagline kind of speaks to exactly what Sean's saying is celebrate the victories, be proud of your scars, and enjoy the journey. And, the ups, the downs, even myself, I may be in the Hall of Fame, I may be, top 100, all the different accolades, but it's still been traded 4 times. Still got pissing contests with GMs and owners and, on and on and on. So, there's always a fork in the road. There's always a decision to be made. And certainly the journey of life goes in many different ways and has many different formats. And, we're just excited to be a part of the conversation with everybody out there.
Yeah, The Journey is the name of the whiskey. It is a Sean and Chris Pronger project. What you can do is if you go to YouTube, which is where you can find us, rate and subscribe, but you can actually check out the QR code. We put it on here with this incredible label. Did you guys get involved in like the testing of this? Like, were you guys along for the whole, like you talk about the journey? Please tell me you were along for the whole journey, Pronger.
Sean's going to tell you about we've been from day one to now.
Yeah.
From conception to birth, we were a part of it. We like the bottle shape, obviously the taste of the whiskey. We would, Niagara Falls Craft Distillery is they make the whiskey. They're our partner and have done an amazing job. But they sent us the first iteration, and Chris and I would get on FaceTime and do a testing, I guess you call it R&D, and we would.
Okay, hold it. No, you can't do that. Like, listen,
it's called R&D, Dean. It's R&D.
Yeah, it's me, boys. It's me. It's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. Chris knows who I am. I just met you today. Yeah. It's me. It's okay. You can talk about R&D being a whole lot.
We got on FaceTime and would drink.
Yeah.
Probably more than a testing amount, but we drank it, and we would take notes on, okay, we want it to do this or that. Like we don't want it to have a burn. We want it smoother. We don't know exactly how to explain that to somebody. We just we get on the call with Niagara Falls and say, listen, this is what we want. I don't know how you do it. I don't know if you can do it, but if you can do it, do this. Mm-hmm. And then they did it, sent it back to us. We did another tasting, and then we tweaked it again. And then what everybody's going to drink now is the third iteration. And I mean, they crushed it. I mean, to everybody that's drank it has loved it. That's what makes it so exciting is the fact that everybody loves it. Yeah. That's tasted it. And so that's why we're proud of it. And we have no, I don't think Chris goes anywhere without a bottle of whiskey. He will go to a restaurant, a bar, a country club. He is rolling in, and they don't even have an option. They're fucking serving the JRNY Whiskey. They don't have an option, and people love it. It's great.
Well, but Chris, you're like a pitchman now. I don't think a lot of people realize when you get out of the game, it doesn't matter what game it is. If it's radio, if it's the NHL, if it's television, everybody has these second and third careers, second and third chapters. Was this something that was on you? Because I know Sean said it at the start. He's like, this idea came to us when we were 15. I'm like, of course, your own whiskey comes to you at the age of 15.
I think maybe the drinking part.
It came from a good place. It came from a good place.
That's where the research and development began.
Yes.
As we've kind of gone along, as a longtime whiskey drinker, I think you know what you like, you know what you don't like. And to Sean's point, there are certain things that if we were to do our own whiskey like we have, there are certain things we want to change. And that's what people are going to be tasting now is, we wanted a little bit sweeter. We wanted a little bit more spicy. We wanted, a really good smooth and savory profile. And as Sean mentioned earlier, no burn. There's a little heat. I like to call it a little bit of heat, and it just sits in the back of your mouth, back of your palate, and then just the flavors come out as you get to that second and third sip, and then from there it's all uphill.
Yeah, it's as they say, it's all uphill. When you guys get together, so when you're traveling the world, you've been on this promo tour, Chris, and I know that this iteration of the life that you have now is one of those look back things where you're like, hey man, I get to decide. You both do. You get to decide what you want to do with commerce. You get to decide what you want to do with business. Do you enjoy this part? Do you enjoy, being the guy that's like, hey, I'm fucking all in selling this product and making it a legitimate enterprise, because it is and I had a couple conversations with the guys at the distillery yesterday, and they're like, dude, this is people love this brand. They don't just love the brand. They love the taste. They love the flavor profile. And so it's instant. You can believe in this because you guys are indeed it, as you said, but it's a tremendous product. So you can get behind it. Do you love the actual job that you have now of not just being an owner, an operator, someone who has his own spirit and a premium spirit at that? Do you love going around and going, hey, you got to try this. I'll sign the bottle for you. No problem. It's me.
I like being my own boss. I can tell you that. I don't like being told what to do anymore. I spent 30 years being told what to do, and I'm done. Nobody's doing that no more.
Which is amazing because I know of you. I've watched you on television. Huge fan of yours for a long, long time. Specifically, you're on the run with the Oilers because I'm a big Oilers guy. I always have been. Yeah. And I'm like, to hear you say that you hate being told what to do, and people were capable of telling you what to do after knowing and seeing the sound bites. I'm like, no one ever told Chris Pronger what to do. Kind of.
I either chose or chose not to listen.
They told you before you go on the ice, and when you go on the ice, you just do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, so it's, I just enjoy, number one, I love the product.
Yeah.
Number two, I love the story and the brand and the story it tells.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every person out there has their own unique story to tell, and this brand speaks to that. So we're excited to get it out there. And as Sean said, yes, I do typically bring a bottle with me everywhere I go. I will have some bottles in South Dakota for everybody to try. And so, I just, number one, I'm proud of it. But I think as people come to understand the brand, come to understand what we're trying to get across with the branding and kind of the marketing of the brand, they'll come to understand us a little bit more and kind of why we're so excited about what we're doing with this brand.
Yeah, dude.
And just an FYI, Dean, I just need to tell you, as Sean knows, I am a stickler for details.
Yeah.
Canadian whiskey does not have an E in it.
Oh,
so
really?
Just letting
so
you
American whiskey is an E and Canadian whiskey does not, but it's the same
Canadian whiskey does
formulaic.
not. Irish whiskey does. Scottish whiskey does not. Irish whiskey does. Ireland has an E in it, so therefore it has an E at the EY.
Okay.
United States has an E in it, therefore it has an EY. Scotland does not get an EY because there's no E in it.
Yeah.
Canada does not get an EY, nor does Japan. When you look at Japanese whiskey, Scottish whiskey, and Canadian whiskey, there is no EY.
When did you become a whiskey historian?
Student of the game. The student of the game.
Is that one of those? No, and listen, that was a great education, but is that one of those nuggets of information someone told you like a couple months ago, and you take it around and you educate people?
May
with
have been a year ago, but actually it was about a year and a half ago. Sean,
because we started the process like 2 years ago, and so that was when the some knowledge was getting acquired.
So about 18 months ago, as we were doing trying to do the branding and the label and all that stuff, and went through all the different iterations.
Yeah,
we're looking, and we're like, "Where's the E?" Like, oh no E. I'm like, well, why? It is as simple as that. There is no E in the country name, therefore there's no E in whiskey.
That is unbelievable. I had no idea. And it's one of those little throwaway things too that like I would put in the back of my head, and I would take into bars when I was talking to people. If I had my whiskey, and I go, hey, listen, I have to tell you something, and I'm very smart. Yeah.
I'll have a glass of the Journey, hold the E.
Yeah. What's up with because listen, I'll put this up on the screen again. The JRNY Whiskey, by the way, Chris and Sean Pronger's latest spirit. You can get it anywhere you get your fine spirits, specifically the LCBO. You can cue the QR code here as well, and that will take you to any place that has commerce where you can go and enjoy this whiskey. What's the reaction been like from like your friends and people in the industry? Obviously you hang out with a bunch of guys, and you still love having a couple of cocktails to tell these stories in the journey. Your friends like it?
Love it.
Yeah.
Everybody,
John was with me before we launched in Missouri 3 months ago. And I brought a couple bottles golfing with us. We're going to try them. Before we launched.
Shockingly.
Soft launch. We call that a soft launch.
Or you're skeeving bottles from the warehouse, you're shoving them in your golf bag, and you're going, here you go, boys.
And literally, we had a train of people after golf coming over like, oh my God, I hear you got a new whiskey. I heard it's really good.
Yeah.
And there was probably 50 people that came over and tried it and were like, oh my God, when does this come out? I got to get some of this.
Yeah.
We would walk into a restaurant bar in St. Louis, have a table, and you'd have a bottle of it there. He's pouring it in the restaurant for people. People go to the bar, get a glass of ice, and come. And Chris, I got you. Try that. Yeah.
That's old school. That's like a rookie party right there. That's just you're over 50, and you're like, hey, here I am again, pouring shots on a bar rail to people. This is what I do.
Just trying to keep people happy.
Yeah, well, you did a great job, dude. It's an awesome venture. I'd be remiss to ask you though, like of all the centers that you've played in, Chris, who's getting the launch next, and who's getting it last? Is that the goal, to go to different places? Because like that's how I would do it. I would go, okay, where did I have the most fun? Where did I win a cup in 2007? I'll go there first, and I'll go to the least fun place last.
Yeah, some of our launches are based around where we played. Mm-hmm. Some are not. Some are just based on it's a good territory to open and get it out there. But a lot of them, I think, our next Canadian destination will be Alberta, and then we'll go to BC, and then Manitoba, where Sean played for the Manitoba Moose, and then we have a few other places in the United States that we're going to go to. We got Florida and Texas on the in the queue here in the coming months. So we've got our work ahead of us. That's for sure.
Are you in your business too, boys? Like, a lot of people will say that when you start your own business, and I know that because we have a media company and a marketing company, and it's like, you can take your eye off the ball sometimes when you're the pitch guy, the spokesperson. Are you guys, like you said, you're detail oriented, Chris? You too, Sean, probably, because you can't not be detail oriented and come up with a product like this and service it. But like, do you enjoy the business of it as well, or do you just enjoy the fun of the business?
I would argue. I'll let Sean talk, but I would argue that the distillery probably didn't realize how invested we might be.
No, Probably is the understatement. Yeah, they had no idea what they're getting into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say we are involved in pretty much all aspects. I mean, we're not bottling the stuff, but we're involved in all the conversations because we want to know. And I think that for us, we want to learn too. I mean, Chris devours information on the spirit industry and then sends it off to the partners just to make sure we're up to speed. But he is a student of the business, so it's been fun to watch and fun to be a part of, and it's been a great learning environment for me.
Yeah, not many people take that attitude into new ventures, right? Specifically, guys like yourselves, like guys who are like, "Hey, listen, I might be tired. I don't want to get into the business. Don't understand it." But, and the one thing, Chris, and I'll say this about you, I know you spent a lot of time trying to educate people on financial success, right? I know that's something that's very important to you. Is this a function of that? I know, I follow you on Twitter, retweeted a bunch of stuff back when you were trying to explain to people, hey, listen, what you don't understand in the game of hockey is how fast the money comes and how many people come around and how many people want a piece of whatever business it is that you create as your own entity. But and I love the fact that you're educating people. But is this part of that where it's like, hey, I'm going to show you how to do business because it's really important for you to take care of your shit?
Yeah, I think I'm more of a do the work. Once I decide I'm going to do something, I'm all in, and I immerse myself in it, and I learn as much as I can, and try to understand whether it's the industry or the business or what have you. And really kind of dig in and get a solid understanding and a foothold as to what I need to do to be successful and what we need to do to grow the brand in this case and get it to as many markets as we can and get people to try it and really get a feel for what we're trying to do with the brand. But so for me, it's educating people, but it's also in a way where, okay, you take care of your money. Yeah, you're going to have mistakes. You're going to lose money. You're not going to bat 100%. Nobody does. Warren Buffett doesn't. They make mistakes. They all do. But it's a matter of cutting your losses and understanding, okay, how do I get there? And then, especially as a professional athlete, you're in your 20s. You got at least you would imagine a 60-year window after that, 50, 60 years of a runway where either A, you got to make that money work for you and make it last, or you got to figure out what's next. And you want to be the guy that doesn't work and plays golf every day and is bored and doesn't really have a purpose? Or do you want to form a 2.0 or a 3.0 and have a purpose and an identity as to you're not Chris the hockey player, you're Chris the businessman or Chris the salesman or whatever path you take next, and get an understanding as to then what it's going to take to immerse yourself in that and get good just the way you did in your previous life.
Is that a hard transition? And Sean, you can answer the same question, right? You come out of a professional hockey career. Is that a hard transition for a lot of guys? Do you now have a lot of people coming to you guys, specifically you, Chris, and just because I've seen you publicly advocate for education for professional athletes when it comes to their finances? Was that a learning curve? Were you always interested in, not just educating, but helping people specifically in the game understand their finances, how to secure their future a little bit? Because I see some of that here too. And obviously advocating for, professional athletes in your space and the education and the sustainability of that career, because it comes at guys pretty fast and you think it's never going to run out, right? It's just how it is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I try to now. I mean, it's, I had my fair share of losses back when I was younger, and you learn from them, you take notes, you're like, hey, don't do that again. Just like, when you're playing, okay, stop going up the middle when there's 3 people there. Go off the boards. Figure out a different route or a different path. And it's really just about talking to people to get them to understand there's a lot there. And I'm not talking to the haters out there. I'm talking to the athletes that are following. I'm talking to the people that are retweeting it that maybe bitch about this guy or bitch about that, or some guy that got hangers on and, they just pick the first guy and they don't do any research. They don't know who it is, but he's a buddy who he met at the bar who talked him into investing in some stupid idea. And now he's got nothing left and he's got doesn't have a pot to piss in. So, it's really just about trying to walk guys through being in my shoes when you got all these people coming at you and you got this great deal and this deal, I can make you, 500% on this. give me a break. You already won the lottery by playing in this case, the National Hockey League. You're making all this money. You need to be in the wealth preservation game. You need to just take care of your money. And oh, by the way, you're coming out a very young person. You need to then do something else. You can't just sit there and do nothing. I don't care how much money you do, but everybody, well, if you're driven and you have a passion for, in this case, hockey, you're going to have a passion for something else. You're going to want to invest your time and have a purpose, whether that's your family when you retire. And then you figure out, okay, as your family gets older and like mine and they go off to school, now what? What's next? And you just go down that and kind of dig. I think when you look at players when they initially retire or are forced to retire because either they can't get another contract or they get hurt and they're kind of forced into it where they're not good enough anymore or they're old or, they get hurt. A lot of times it comes at you real fast and you don't know what plan B is. You've been thinking, oh my God, I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to make X. And you just got your head down and you're working at your craft and all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. And you're like, hey, now what? And you haven't thought about what's next and you haven't prepared yourself for what does that runway look like. I think you see a lot of guys say, oh, I want to get back into hockey. And they just want to go be a scout or they want to do something. And they don't take a break to really analyze or enjoy their career and enjoy what they've been able to accomplish. And they just keep their head down. They keep grinding and they don't take the time to just be happy and like, all right, think back on their career, all the great times they had. Yeah, there's always going to be shitty times. That's why we say celebrate the victories, be proud of your scars. There's ups and downs, but at the end of the day, it's about understanding what's going to be next.
Yeah, the journey, right? I mean,
hence the journey.
The journey is ongoing.
All roads lead to the journey.
Yeah, the journey that you celebrate. It's in the moment, right? It doesn't matter who you are. You're in your case, Sean, trying to hang on for a jersey or a 7-day per diem, and it doesn't matter who you are and the level of success you have. Those stories and that life experience is incredible. And to hear you talk about it from a postscript perspective, now that you can look back on it and tie that into this beautiful brand where everybody sits around, they get together, they talk about the scars, they talk about the journey, they talk about the experiences. And sometimes these experiences are ones that you can share with each other, like you're talking about, where you're like, hey, I got hosed for this. This guy came after me. Here's something you need to be aware of. That's also part of the journey, reaching down to help other people that were in the situation you guys were in. And that's what I love about the brand. Every brand has a story, and the story around this brand isn't just Chris and Sean Pronger came up with their own booze. It's not. It's a premium whiskey. It's a premium spirit that has a purpose, and that purpose is we're going to gather around. We're going to have these conversations, and we're going to talk about not just the fun that we had, the road trips we were on, the battle scars that we got, trying to make it in the league, but trying to make it as a human being as well. And the second act that so many people have that they look back on, and you've seen it in the game. I've seen it in our industry, guys that get out of media at a high profile level where they're sitting there holding the bag and going, what's next? Well, did you look back at the trail that you blazed and the stories that you got to tell and the locker rooms you were in after a victory or after a loss? Just the whole story, which is, Sean, what I love about the journey and the fact that, the label itself and the name itself and the brand itself leans into two totally different journeys arriving at the same time, right?
Totally. And, I would argue you don't get to celebrate the victories without having some scars. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's, I think, what makes victory so sweet is when you have to overcome stuff and whatever that is. It may not be your hoist the Stanley Cup. In my case, it was like getting to the NHL. I got the rug yanked out for a number of times, and then it felt like I won the Stanley Cup when I played my first NHL game. And for other people, it could be whatever. A job thing, a promotion, whatever it is. Everybody goes through something, and that's why we love the brand. We're like this. It means a lot. Put it that way. This brand means a lot to us for various reasons, but it's all about kind of the things that happen in your day-to-day life that you get to sit back and be like, you know what? I'm kind of glad I went through that, but I'm also glad I'm through it, and I'm if I can help somebody, that's what talking about when guys are retiring and stuff like that. I did it completely wrong. I have a college degree, but I was like, I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to go to Europe and play for another 5 or 10 years. I played 1 year there, and it was awful, and that was the end. And so I just stopped looked around like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And so I struggled for, a little bit, for probably a year and a bit, and then figured out a path. So I always look, if I can help somebody just with, while they're still playing, is, the things you can do is, build your network and, get involved and ask questions. And I will, what I'll say to, and it was, I think Chris made the point, like, people want to help those that help themselves. You know what I mean? So if you like go to somebody like a business, whatever it is, a business person or whatever you're interested in, and have a conversation, they'll tell you. They just won't, they're not going to knock on your door. So you got to go knock on their door, and then they'll be happy to help you in any way they can. So it's
yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, dude. I love it. It's again, you can look back and have that perspective. Maybe not so much in the moment when you're trying to make it work, but that is the brand. That is the message. It is called the JRNY Whiskey. By the way, there is an E because it's Canadian. So there you go. Some sweet, hot knowledge from Chris Pronger.
Montreal Canadiens have an E on the end, so it has an E.
That's funny.
Hey, and the last question I'll ask you, because this is what everybody wants to know. How do you think the Leafs will do this year?
I hope they do well. I hope they do well.
I hope they do well.
Do you? Do you hope
sure. Do well? The bandwagon is full again.
Yeah.
There always seems to be a lot of broken ankles come April, May, early May.
Yeah.
And it seems to be more and more in the media. Why is that, Dean? Why are they now so incredibly supportive of this team?
Oh, we suck. That's why. We're idiots. You know that, Chris. Like, I was the media guy for a long time in this city. And so I'll tell you what you need to know. Every single one of those people sucks at their job in this city when it comes to covering the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's a couple good ones, but it's amazing because, like, it's the same shit every year. I just went through this with the Blue Jays. You guys are Blue Jays fans, obviously, being Ontario boys. It's like, I'm good with either story at this point. Like, I'm good with the continued misery because that's fun for me as a fan, right? I'm also good if they win. Like, it's like the Cubs. They didn't win for like 115 years. I'm like, that's a way better fucking story than if they do win, right? That's how I feel. And the amazing part is, guys, and obviously, having experience with media, it is amazing how they gin up hope every single year by twisting a couple knobs and then go, hey, listen, the rest of the league doesn't matter. It's Leafs on Saturday night. No one cares about any other team in the city. No one cares about any other team west of Montreal. And it's like, it's egregious at this point. And as guys who have played in the NHL for a long period of time, you have to kind of almost make fun of it at this point, like just the continued embarrassment for the fan base. But at the same time, I mean, sure, I guess we have hope this year. It's all anybody's talking about, fellas. Hope.
Well, that's the key word, hope.
Yeah. Well, hope sells $5,000 rail tickets still.
the pent up celebration that would come. Yeah. I would not want to be around like Ontario.
I will tell you, Dean, when the Blues won in 19, 52 years without ever winning a cup in the franchise history.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to the parade, but I obviously saw a lot of pictures, and it was impressive. I was happy for the city. It was great, and I think this fan base has been building up success over the last number of years since they've gone through their Champlain rebuild. It would be great for the city. Like, I was in Toronto when the Blue Jays won in 91 and 92. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Just to see there was no looting. Not that I saw. There was no looting. People were just like happy in the streets. It was awesome to see the city come together like that. It would be great to see something like that in Toronto with the Leafs, just for what they've gone through since they last won.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, well, it's just it's funny, at this point, like I said, the two competing narratives. But you think back to 2019, and you also think back to the Raptors when the scene was bananas, right? And that's a fairly young team, professional team in this city, and as someone who's won a cup and had a Stanley Cup parade, specifically not in a non-hockey traditional city. You get those vibes, like when you think back to championships that were won in this city and how long it's been. I just the continuing narrative, just I don't know what it is. The humor involved in everybody every year going, it's our year, boys. It's our year. Just makes me laugh. I don't know why. It just
I think
does.
maybe they're trying to convince themselves that
that's it.
Yeah,
That's
I think you might be right. Chris Pronger, Sean Pronger, the JRNY Whiskey. I'll let you guys go. You've been super generous with 35 minutes. Really appreciate your time. If you go to YouTube and if you head to our Twitter account, @it's Dean Blundell, you can also find these guys on their own socials, the JRNY Whiskey. Everything is in the description of this podcast. You can also download the QR code if you go and watch the video version of this, which is on YouTube at Crier Media. You can also get it at Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. Check it out. It'll take you to where you can find one of these incredible whiskeys that the Pronger brothers have just brought to market. Really grateful for both your time. Absolute pleasure to see you guys. And I know our paths are going to cross again. And if there's any way we can help get this in the hands and the mouths of Canadians and North Americans across this beautiful land plane, you let me know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Dean. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
boys. Appreciate
Have
it.
a good one.
Remember, Dean.
Yeah, buddy.
Enjoy the journey.
Oh, don't worry. I will, because I'm going to call you as soon as I'm done and ask for one of those signed bottles. So don't worry. I'm all into the swag. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
All
right, boys.
Appreciate it.
Chris and Sean Pronger, ladies and gentlemen, the JRNY Whiskey, available anywhere you get your fine whiskeys, the LCBO. I love that story. I love the story about how it is a story. I love any brand that comes with this story that connects these human beings in these portions of their lives where they can rally around the brand and start other conversations. And let me tell you something. This thing, they took a bunch of cases to a couple locations yesterday, sold out in like 30 minutes. And it wasn't just because they were autographed. This is one of the most ballyhooed whiskeys on the market, and it is gangbusters. So get yourself some JRNY Whiskey. QR code at YouTube. You can check it out. Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. Head to our Twitter feed, @it's Dean Blundell, the Crier Media Twitter feed as well. And thanks again to the Prongers. Thanks to my friend Brandon. Thanks to the folks at the distillery for making this possible as well down in Niagara. Lovely people. Support a Canadian brand that will go international. This is going to be a major thing. And you're going to be one of the people that's going to say, hey, I was on the journey before you. I was on the journey months ago, years ago. You're just catching up with the rest of us. And we'll have more with Chris Pronger and Sean Pronger as we continue to help tell the story of this incredible product. Thanks, everybody, for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Thanks to Chris and Sean. Thanks to the fine folks down in Niagara, my friend Brandon, for setting this up as well. Don't forget, you can get everything we do on YouTube, Dean Blundell Show, anywhere you get your fine podcasts, Google, Spotify, Apple, etc. Rate, subscribe on YouTube as well. And thanks to our friends and partners at Ed's Fine Imports. His Gitch can be on you. Luxury branded underwear, boxer briefs. Gitch3 is your promo code. Check them out today. You can also go to Cantork. Cantork is one of our major sponsors as well at Crier Media, making torque wrenches, crescent wrenches, any bolting and loosening solution, bolting and fastening solution that you need help with on an industrial scale, whether it be nuclear, railroad, steel, forestry, heavy machinery, doesn't matter. They make torque wrenches for industries around the world that nobody else makes. They also manufacture, clean, service, any of that stuff. If you have a need, go to cantork.com for more information today. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the journey. Bye.